Captain Lee Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the dead planet below. The world called Kethmoran had no life on it. No plants, no animals, no people. Just old rocks and dust that had been sitting there for millions of years. But something about this place made him feel strange inside. "Captain, we're getting some interesting readings from the surface," said Dr. Park Min-ho. He was the ship's scientist who studied old things and different types of life. His eyes were bright with excitement as he looked at his computer screen. Lee. Do-hyun walked over to see what Dr. Park had found. On the screen were pictures of old buildings made from stone. They were broken and falling apart, but you could still see that someone had built them a long time ago. "How old are these buildings?" asked the captain. "Very old, sir, maybe 10 million years old, maybe more." Dr. Park pushed some buttons and the picture got bigger. "Look at these marks on the stones. They look like writing." Ambassador Kim Ji-won came over to look too. She was in charge of talking to other planets and making peace when there were fights. Her job was very important because humans were known all over the galaxy for being good at stopping wars. "Can you read what it says?" she asked. Dr. Park shook his head. "Not yet. But I think this writing is older than any language we know. It might be from the very first people who traveled between the stars." Engineer Choi Hyun-woo was working at his station when his computer started making loud beeping sounds. "Captain, I'm getting a message from Earth. It sounds urgent." Lee Do-hyun felt his stomach get tight. Messages from Earth were usually not good news. "Put it on the main screen." The face of Admiral No Jae-won appeared on the screen. He looked worried and tired. "Captain Lee, we have a problem. The Vorthak Empire has attacked 3 of our colonies in the Outer Rim. Everyone on the bridge got very quiet. The Vorthaks were known for being mean and cruel. They liked to hurt other people just because they could." "How bad is it?" asked Ambassador Kim. "Bad. They destroyed New Seoul Colony completely. 2,000 people lived there. Now they are all gone." The Admiral's voice was heavy with sadness. "The Vorthak sent us a message. They said humans are too weak to deserve our planets. They want us to leave the Outer Rim." Lieutenant Commander Song Yuna stepped forward. She was the ship's soldier and protector. "What are our orders, sir?" "Go to the Outer Rim and help our people. Try to make peace if you can. But if the Vorthaks won't listen..." The Admiral stopped talking for a moment. "Do what you have to do." After the message ended, everyone on the bridge felt scared and angry. Lee Do-hyun had never seen a real war. Humans had been peaceful for over 200 years. They were the ones who stopped fights, not the ones who started them. "Captain," said Dr. Park quietly, "maybe we should look at these old writings more carefully. Something tells me they might be important." That night, Dr. Park worked alone in his lab. He used the ship's computer to study the strange marks on the stones. Slowly, very slowly, he began to understand what they meant. The first words he figured out made him feel cold inside. They said, "Here lies the warning for those who come after." He kept working. More words became clear. The quiet ones came from the dark between stars. They had great power, but chose to be gentle. Dr. Park's hands were shaking as he read more. "We learned too late that making the quiet ones angry was the worst mistake anyone could make." The next morning, Dr. Park showed his work to Captain Lee. The 2 men sat in the captain's office and read the full message together. "Never push the quiet ones past their breaking point," Dr. Park read out loud. "They have seen the deepest darkness and chose the light instead. But if you force them back into that darkness, not even the stars will remember your name." "Who were these quiet ones?" asked Lee Do-hyun. Dr. Park looked at more pictures on his computer. "Captain, look at this." He showed a drawing carved into stone. It looked like a person, but the face was human. "That looks like us," said the captain. "Yes, sir. I think the quiet ones were humans, or maybe the people who came before humans. This message is a warning about what happens when you make humans really angry." Lee Do-hyun felt a chill run down his back. "But we're peaceful. We've always been peaceful. We haven't fought a real war in 200 years. "Maybe that's the point," said Dr. Park. Maybe we're peaceful because we remember what happens when we're not. Just then, Engineer Choi ran into the office. "Captain, you need to see this. We just got a message from the colony ship New Dawn. The Vorthax caught them." They rushed to the bridge and watched the message. Captain Yoon Seokjin appeared on screen. Behind him, you could hear children crying and screaming. The New Dawn was a school ship with 2,000 kids on it. "They want us to watch," Captain Yoon said. His face was bloody and his voice was weak. "They want all humans to see what they do to our children." The message cut to the Vorthak leader. He was big and ugly with sharp teeth. "Humans are weak," he said in broken English. "Your children will die slowly. Then you will leave our space, or we will kill all of you." The screen went black. Ambassador Kim was crying. Lieutenant Song had her hands in fists. Even Engineer Choi looked ready to fight. Captain Lee looked at Dr. Park. "How does the old warning end?" Dr. Park's voice was very quiet. "It says, we carved this message into the laws of space itself. Never make the quiet ones remember who they used to be." Somewhere deep in space, other human ships were getting the same terrible message. And on each ship, something old and dark was starting to wake up. Kim Soo-jin was hiding in the basement of her home when the Vorthak ships came to New Seoul Colony. She was only 16 years old, but she was smart. When the attack siren started, she ran to the emergency room her father had built under their house. From her hiding place, she could hear the terrible sounds above. Laser guns firing, buildings falling down, people screaming. But the worst sound was the Vorthaks laughing. They thought hurting people was funny. Kim Soo-jin had a small radio in the basement. Her hands were shaking as she tried to call for help. "This is New Seoul Colony," she whispered into the radio. "They are killing everyone. Please help us, please." She heard heavy footsteps walking around her house. The Vorthaks were looking for people to hurt. Kim Soo-jin put her hand over her mouth to keep quiet. "Where are you, little human?" A voice called out. It was rough and mean. "We won't hurt you much. We just want to have some fun." Kim Soo-jin closed her eyes and prayed to anyone who would listen. The footsteps got farther away. She waited for 3 hours before she dared to move. When she finally came out of the basement, her whole world was gone. Her house was broken. Her neighbors' houses were broken. Dead bodies were everywhere. The Vorthaks had killed everyone they could find, then burned everything down. But Kim Soo-jin was brave. She found the colony's main communication center. Most of it was destroyed, but she knew how to fix radios. Her father had taught her when she was little. It took her 2 days to get the big radio working. When she finally sent her message to Earth, she was crying. "My name is Kim Soo-jin," she said into the radio. "I think I'm the only person left alive on New Seoul. They killed my mom and dad. They killed my little brother. They killed everyone. The Vorthak said they wanted humans to see what happens to weak people. They said they would do this to all human colonies." Admiral No Jae-hwan got Kim Soo-jin's message at Earth's main military base. He had been a soldier for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like what the Vorthaks did to New Seoul Colony. The pictures Kim Soo-jin sent showed things too terrible to believe. The Admiral called a meeting with all the important people in Earth's government. They sat around a big table and watched Kim Soo-jin's message together. "How many people died?" asked one of the leaders. "All of them," said Admiral No. 2,000 people. Men, women, children. The Vorthaks didn't care. They killed everyone just to show they could. "What does the Galactic Council say?" asked another leader. Admiral No's face got red with anger. "They say it's a territorial dispute. They won't help us. Some of the other species even said we deserved it for being too weak." The room got very quiet. For 200 years, humans had been the peacemakers of the galaxy. When other species fought, humans helped them stop fighting. When there were problems, humans found answers. But now when humans needed help, no one cared. "What about our other colonies?" someone asked. "The Vorthaks attacked 2 more yesterday. Bright Hope Colony and New Busan. Same thing happened. Everyone dead. President Yeltara of the Galactic Council was not human. She looked like a tall, thin tree with too many arms. When Admiral No called her, she sounded bored. "Admiral, these territorial disputes happen all the time," she said. "The Vorthax have a right to expand their empire. If humans can't protect their colonies, maybe they shouldn't have colonies." "They murdered children," Admiral No said. His voice was quiet but dangerous. "That's very sad," President Yeltara said. "But the Galactic Council cannot interfere in every local conflict. You humans should try talking to the Vorthax. You're good at talking." Admiral No turned off the communication and sat alone in his office. He looked out the window at Earth's blue sky and green trees. For the first time in his life, he wondered if being peaceful was a mistake. On the planet Vorthak Prime, War Chief, Grakthul was very happy. He had just watched videos of his soldiers destroying the human colonies. In the videos, you could see Vorthax killing human families and laughing about it. "Look how weak they are," Grakthul said to his soldiers. "They cry and beg, but they don't fight back. Humans are not real warriors. They are just soft animals pretending to be strong." Emperor Thulgrim was even bigger and meaner than Grakthul. "How many humans did we kill?" he asked. 6,000 so far, my lord, and we captured many ships full of their young ones. We will make them watch as we kill the children slowly. Then all humans will know their place." The Emperor's sharp teeth showed when he smiled. "Good. When other species see how easily we destroy the peaceful humans, they will fear us more. No one will stand against the Vorthak Empire." But the Emperor didn't know that his biggest mistake was still to come. Captain Yoon Seok-jin was trying to protect the children on his school ship, the New Dawn. There were 2,000 kids on the ship, all between 10 and 16 years old. They were supposed to be learning about different planets and having fun. When the Vorthak warship surrounded them, Captain Yoon knew he couldn't fight. His ship had no weapons. It was just a school ship. "Please," he said to the Vorthak commander. "These are just children. Let them go home. Take me instead." The Vorthak commander was called Kelzon. He was one of their best warriors. "No, human. We want the galaxy to see what happens when you resist us. Your children will die and everyone will watch." Captain Yoon felt something break inside his heart. But he also felt something else. Something old and angry that had been sleeping for a very long time. "You're making a mistake," he said quietly. Kelzon laughed. "What can you weak humans do? Cry? Beg? Write sad poems?" Captain Yoon looked right into the alien's eyes. "You're about to find out." The Vorthax made all the human worlds watch as they hurt the children on the New Dawn. They broadcasted on every communication channel. They wanted every human in the galaxy to see their kids being tortured. Captain Yoon's last words were heard. "Across human space, remember us. Remember what they did and remember who we used to be." Then the signal cut to black. On thousands of human ships across the galaxy, people watched their children die. In that moment, something changed in the human heart. Something that had been sleeping for 2 centuries woke up. On Earth, Admiral No felt it. On distant colonies, human farmers felt it. On trade ships and diplomatic vessels, humans felt something they had forgotten they could feel. It wasn't just anger. It was something much worse. It was the memory of what humans could do when they stopped being nice. General Lim Tae-hyung was not a general 3 days ago. 3 days ago, he was Ambassador Lim Tae-hyung, one of the best diplomats in the galaxy. He had stopped 12 wars and saved millions of lives just by talking to people. But that was before. He watched 2,000 human children die on live television. Now he sat in a secret meeting room deep under the Earth's surface. Around the table were other humans who used to have different jobs. Dr. Kang Minji used to study space and time. Colonel Bae Suman used to train soldiers for parades and ceremonies. They all used to do peaceful things. Not anymore. "How many ships do we have?" General Lim asked. "More than the galaxy knows," answered Fleet Admiral Park Jimin. He had been hiding for 200 years, keeping humanity's secret fleet ready for a day everyone hoped would never come. "We have 500 warships that no one has ever seen. They use technology that we kept locked away." Dr. Kang Minji opened a metal case on the table. Inside were small glass tubes that glowed with strange light. These contain weapons we built long ago but promised never to use. Weapons that can make stars go out. Weapons that can make time move backward. Why did we hide all this? Asked Colonel Bay. General Lim's voice was very quiet. Because we remembered what we did last time we got angry. We promised ourselves we would never be that scary again. 200 years ago, humans had fought a war that almost destroyed the galaxy. But no one alive remembered it, except a few very old humans who kept the secrets. They had made everyone promise to be peaceful, to be kind, to never use the terrible weapons again, but promises can be broken. The Vorthax think we're weak because we've been nice for so long, said Admiral Park. They don't know that being nice was the hardest thing we ever did. Dr. Kang pulled up pictures on the big screen. They showed the inside of human ships that had been flying around the galaxy for decades. But these pictures showed secret rooms that no one knew about. Every human trade ship has hidden weapons, she explained. Every diplomatic vessel has secret military technology. Every colony ship can become a battleship in 10 minutes. We've been ready for war while hoping we'd never need to fight. What about the other species? Won't they try to stop us? Asked someone. General Lim smiled, but it was not a nice smile. They had their chance to help when the Vorthax were killing our children. They chose to do nothing. Now they get to watch what happens when you make humans stop being diplomatic. All across the galaxy, humans were changing. On space stations, human doctors stopped healing sick aliens and went home to Earth. On trade ships, human captains turned around and headed back to human space. On diplomatic worlds, human ambassadors packed their bags and left without saying goodbye. The galaxy noticed. For 200 years, humans had been everywhere, helping with everything. Suddenly, they were gone. President Yeltara of the Galactic Council tried calling Earth. No one answered. She tried calling human colonies. The communication systems were turned off. She tried calling human ships. They had disappeared. Where did all the humans go? She asked her assistants. No one knew. On a secret space station, hidden in an asteroid, Field Colonel Bay Suman was training soldiers who had never expected to fight. These were teachers and farmers and shop owners who remembered old lessons their grandparents had taught them. Remember, Colonel Bay told them, we're not trying to conquer anyone. We're not trying to rule the galaxy. We just want to make sure that what happened to our children never happens again. What if other species try to stop us? Asked one of the new soldiers. They won't, said Colonel Bay. Once they see what we can do to the Vorthax, they'll be too scared to try. Dr. Kang was working in a laboratory that didn't exist on any official maps. She was building weapons that could change the laws of space itself. Weapons that could make a planet forget it had ever been real. Are you sure about this? Asked her assistant. These weapons could destroy everything. The Vorthax destroyed our children, Dr. Kang said without looking up from her work. They wanted to see what humans are really like when we stop being nice. Let's show them. The first sign that humans had changed came when a Vorthax patrol found one of their own battle fleets floating in space. All the ships were there, but they were empty. No crew, no weapons, no computers. Everything valuable had been taken out, very carefully. War Chief Grakthul looked at the empty ships through his telescope. Where are the crews? He asked. Gone, sir, said one of his officers. Not dead, just gone. Like they never existed. Humans don't have weapons that can do this, Grakthul said. But his voice sounded worried. Maybe humans have been lying about what they can do, the officer said quietly. On another part of the galaxy, a Vorthax military base simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not damaged. It was there one day and gone the next. The planet was, fine, but the base and everyone in it had vanished completely. Emperor Thulgrim was getting scared, but he was too proud to show it. Humans are still weak, he told his generals. They're just using some new trick. Send more ships to attack their colonies. But when the Vorthax ships arrived at human colonies, they found something strange. The colonies were empty, but not destroyed. They looked like everyone had just walked away in the middle of what they were doing. Food was still on tables, lights were still on, but every human was gone. Where did they go? The Vorthak soldiers asked each other. They didn't know that the humans hadn't gone anywhere. They were still there, just invisible, watching and waiting. Commander, Lee Jisoo stood on the bridge of a ship that officially didn't exist. The ship was called Retribution, and it was the most dangerous thing humans had ever built. It could travel faster than light without using normal engines. It could hide in the space between spaces, and it had weapons that could edit reality itself. "Captain," said her weapons officer, "we have a target. Vorthak War Chief Grakthul's personal ship." "Good," said Commander Lee. "Let's give him a message. He'll never forget." What should the message say? Commander Lee looked out at the stars and remembered the faces of the children who had died on the new dawn. The message should say, "You broke the oldest rule in the galaxy. Now you get to learn why it was a rule." The Vorthak War Chief's ship was one of the strongest in their fleet. It had shields that could stop any weapon and armor that could survive flying into a star. It took exactly 3 seconds for the Retribution to turn it into cosmic dust. But before the ship was destroyed, Commander Lee made sure to send one person back to the Vorthak homeworld. War Chief Grakthul, himself alive but changed. When he appeared on Vorthak Prime, he could only say the same thing over and over again. "The stars are angry," he whispered. "The quiet ones are quiet no more." Admiral Kim Nam-joon had never wanted to be a warrior. Before the Vorthaks killed the children, he was a teacher who showed young people how beautiful the galaxy could be. Now he stood on the command ship of humanity's war fleet, and his eyes were cold as winter. "How many Vorthak worlds are left?" he asked. 43, sir," answered his aide. "We've removed 17 planets from existence in the past week." "Not destroyed." "Removed," Admiral Kim said quietly. "There's a difference. When we destroy something, people remember it was there. When we remove it, it's like it never existed at all." The aide nodded. He was young and had never seen a real war before. "Sir, the other species in the galaxy are asking questions. They want to know where the Vorthak planets went." "Let them ask," said Admiral Kim. "Maybe they should have asked questions when the Vorthaks were killing our children." Dr. Oh Hoseok was working in a laboratory that existed in 7 dimensions at the same time. He was humanity's expert on making impossible things possible. The weapon he was building could make time itself forget that something had ever happened. "It's ready, Admiral," he said over the communication system. "The entropy accelerator can age an entire star system billions of years in just a few minutes." "How? Does it work?" asked Admiral Kim. "We point it at a Vorthak world and make that world experience the end of the universe very, very quickly. In 5 minutes their sun will burn out, their planets will turn to dust, and even their atoms will fall apart. It won't hurt them. They'll just get very old very fast until they become nothing." Admiral Kim was quiet for a long time. "And after we use this weapon, that star system will look like it's been empty for billions of years. No one will remember that anyone ever lived there." The Vorthak Empire was learning what fear felt like. They had conquered dozens of species over thousands of years. They thought they were the strongest warriors in the galaxy. But humans were showing them what real power looked like. War Master Kelzon was the smartest general the Vorthaks had ever had. He had won every battle he had ever fought. But now he was hiding in a bunker deep underground on the Vorthak homeworld. And he was very scared. "How many ships do the humans have?" he asked his officers. "We don't know, sir. They appear out of nowhere, destroy everything, then disappear again. Our best weapons can't hurt them, our fastest ships can't catch them." "What about their technology? How are they doing impossible things?" "We think they've been hiding their real abilities for hundreds of years. Every piece of human technology we've ever seen was just a toy compared to what they're using now." Kelzon looked at reports from the front lines. Vorthak battle fleets were disappearing faster than he could count them. Not just defeated, completely erased from existence. "Send a message to all Vorthak forces," he said. "Tell them to stop attacking human colonies. Maybe if we stop fighting, the humans will stop too." But it was too late for stopping. "Commander," Lee Jisu's ship, the Retribution, appeared next to the biggest Vorthak space station in the galaxy. The station was the size of a small moon and had enough weapons to destroy 100 planets. Vorthak Station, Commander Lee said over the communication system. This is Commander Lee of the human ship Retribution. You have 30 seconds to evacuate all civilians. The Vorthak commander of the station laughed. Stupid human. One small ship cannot hurt our great station. We have weapons that can... The station stopped existing. Not exploded. Not destroyed. It simply stopped being real. Where there had been a space station with 1 million Vorthak soldiers, now there was just empty space. Commander Lee made a note in her log. Station removed. No civilians were present as claimed. All personnel were military and had participated in attacks on human colonies. Emperor Thulgrim was no longer laughing. He sat on his throne made of the bones of his enemies and tried to understand how his mighty empire was disappearing so quickly. How many worlds do we have left? He asked his advisors. 26, my lord. But the humans are removing 2 or 3 every day. Can't we negotiate? Can't we make a deal? The humans won't talk to us, my lord. They just keep making our worlds disappear. What do they want? An old Vorthak advisor stepped forward. He was the smartest person in the empire and had lived for over 300 years. I think I know what they want, my lord. Tell me. They want us to understand what it feels like to watch your children die. Every world they remove has families on it. They're making us feel what we made them feel. Emperor Thulgrim's claws dug into his throne. But we killed thousands of their children. If they do the same to us? Yes, my lord. They could remove every Vorthak world in the galaxy if they wanted to. The Galactic Council was having an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of species were all talking at the same time. Everyone was scared. Where did the humans get these weapons? President Yeltara asked. We think they've always had them, said a representative from the Kelgan Republic. They just pretended to be weak so no one would worry about them. But why? Asked another representative. If they were always this strong, why did they let other species push them around? An very old alien called Morgeth spoke up. His species was older than most stars in the galaxy. Because they learned from their mistakes, he said in a voice, like wind through ancient trees. Long ago, humans were different. They used their power without thinking. They hurt many people and destroyed many worlds. Then they decided to be peaceful instead. What changed their minds? Asked President Yeltara. They remembered what it felt like to be monsters, Morgeth said, so they chose to be heroes instead. But if you force a hero back into being a monster, then what happens? Then you get a monster who knows how to be a hero, and that's the most dangerous thing in the universe. Admiral Kim received a message from the Galactic Council asking him to stop the war. He read it carefully, then deleted it without answering. Sir, said his aide, shouldn't we at least talk to them? They had 200 years to talk to us, Admiral Kim said. We helped solve their problems, stopped their wars, healed their sick, and fed their hungry. When we needed help, they said it wasn't their problem. But sir, we're scaring the entire galaxy. Admiral Kim looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human children had died while the galaxy watched and did nothing. Good, he said. Fear will keep them from making the same mistake again. On the last day of the war, Dr. O used his entropy accelerator on the Vorthak home world. The planet where billions of Vorthaks lived experienced the end of time and fast forward. In 5 minutes, their sun aged 5 billion years and turned into a cold, dead star. Their planets crumbled into dust. Their cities became ancient ruins and then became nothing at all. When it was over, the Vorthak home system looked like it had been empty since the beginning of the universe. But Admiral Kim made sure that one Vorthak survived. Keth Mirren, a young soldier who had never hurt any human children. They brought him to their command ship and showed him what had happened to his people. Why did you save me? Keth Mirren asked. Because someone needs to remember, Admiral Kim said. Someone needs to tell the galaxy what happens when you make humans stop being peaceful. Will you kill me now? No. You're going to live for a very long time. And every day you're going to remember that your people could have lived too, If they hadn't broken the oldest rule in the galaxy, the war was over. The Vorthak Empire no longer existed, and the galaxy learned that the kindest species they knew was also the most terrifying when you made them angry. Emperor Li Yongbok was not born to be an emperor. He was born to be a farmer who grew flowers on a quiet planet. But when the galaxy needed someone to speak for humanity after the war, they chose him. Maybe because he still remembered how to be gentle, even when the rest of humanity had forgotten. He stood in front of the biggest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from every species in known space had come to hear what humans wanted, now that everyone knew how dangerous they really were. "My fellow beings," Emperor Li said, in a voice that was calm and peaceful, "I want to tell you a story about my grandfather." The huge room was completely quiet. Everyone was listening. My grandfather was a soldier in the old times, before humans decided to be peaceful. He told me about the last war humanity fought before we chose to stop fighting. He said that when the war was over, he could not sleep for many years. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the people he had killed. Emperor Li looked around the room at all the different species. Some had fur, some had scales, some looked like walking trees or living rocks. All of them were afraid. Grandfather told me something important. He said, "The day we stopped being warriors was not the day we became weak. It was the day we became wise." A representative from the Kelgan Republic raised one of his 6 arms. "Your Majesty, what do humans want from us now?" Emperor Li smiled, but it was a sad smile. "We want the same thing we have always wanted. Peace. The chance for all people to live without fear. The chance for children to grow up safe." "But you destroyed an entire species," said President Yeltara. Her tree-like body was shaking. "The Vorthaks are gone forever." "Yes," said Emperor Li, "they are. And do you know why? Because they killed human children? No. Because when they killed our children, no one in this room tried to stop them. You all watched and decided it was not your problem." The room got even quieter than before. "For 200 years humans solved your problems," Emperor Li continued. "When you had wars, we made peace. When you were sick, we healed you. When you were hungry, we fed you. We did this because we believed that all life was valuable." Ambassador Park Chae-young stepped forward. She was young and had never wanted to be a diplomat, but after the war, humanity needed new people to talk to the galaxy. "From now on," she said, "there are new rules for how the galaxy works. Rule number 1. No species may commit genocide against another species." "What happens if someone breaks that rule?" asked a representative from the Zephyrian Alliance. "They stop existing," Ambassador Park said simply. "Not just their government or their military. Their entire species becomes a memory that no one remembers." "Rule number 2, she continued. "No species may enslave another species." "Rule number 3. No species may torture or kill civilians, especially children." "And if we break any of these rules?" asked another representative. "Then you meet us," said Ambassador Park. "And trust me, you don't want to meet us when we're angry." Captain Jung Hoseok was in charge of making sure the new rules were followed. His job was to watch over the galaxy and make sure no one ever again did what the Vorthaks had done. "How will we know if someone breaks the rules?" asked one of his officers. "We're everywhere," Captain Jung said. "Every trade ship, every space station, every colony world. Humans are watching. We've always been watching." "What if a species says they don't accept the new rules?" Captain Jung looked at a star map that showed every inhabited world in the galaxy. "Then they can join the Vorthaks in not existing." The galaxy was learning to live with humanity's new role as guardians. It was strange for many species. For thousands of years, they had thought of humans as the nice ones, the helpful ones, the ones who fixed problems. Now they knew the truth. Humans were still nice and helpful, but they were also the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they were watching everything. On a small moon called Haven, the last Vorthak in the universe was living in a simple house. Kethmiran tended a garden and wrote in a book every day. The book was his memory of what his people had been like before they made humans angry. Ambassador Park visited him sometimes. "Do you hate us?" she asked during one visit. Kethmiran looked up from his garden. He was old now, even though only 2 years had passed since the war. Seeing his entire species disappear had aged him. "No," he said. "I understand why you did it. If someone had killed all human children in front of me, and then your people did nothing to help, I think I would have wanted revenge too." "We didn't want revenge," said Ambassador Park. "We wanted to make sure it never happened again. Will it work? Will other species be too scared to hurt innocent people now?" Ambassador Park looked up at the stars. "I hope so, because if it doesn't work, we'll have to do something worse next time." What could be worse than making an entire species stop existing? Making the entire galaxy remember why they stopped existing. Ancient One Morgeth was the oldest living being in the galaxy. His people had watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. He requested a private meeting with Emperor Lee. "I wanted to thank you," Morgeth said in his ancient voice. "Thank us? For what?" "For taking the burden," the old alien said. "My people used to do what you do now. We used to watch over the galaxy and stop the worst species from hurting others. But we got tired. We decided to hide and let younger species handle their own problems when what happened? Millions of years of war and suffering. Species destroying each other because no one was strong enough to make them stop." Emperor Lee sat quietly for a moment. "Is this what we'll become? Galaxy police who everyone fears?" "Maybe," said Morgeth. "But maybe that's better than letting children die while everyone watches. Will other species ever trust us again? They don't have to trust you. They just have to know that you're watching. That's enough." Dr. Park Minho was still studying the ancient ruins on Kethmoran. Now that he understood what the warnings meant, he was updating them for future civilizations. He carved new words into the ancient stone. Here lived the Vorthak Empire. They thought they were strong because they could hurt others. They learned too late that true strength is choosing not to hurt others when you could. Below that, he wrote, "The quiet ones are quiet again. They remember their mercy, but they have not forgotten their strength. The galaxy sleeps peacefully because they choose to let it. On Earth, children played in parks and went to school just like before, but now their parents told them different bedtime stories. Once upon a time, the stories began. Humans were the scariest monsters in the galaxy, but we decided to be heroes instead. We put away our scary things and learned to be kind." "What happened to the scary things?" when the children would ask. "They're still there, hidden away where no one can see them. But if anyone ever tries to hurt you, the scary things will wake up and protect you." "Will the scary things ever come out again?" "Only if someone forgets the most important rule in the galaxy." "What rule is that?" "Never make the quiet ones remember who they used to be." Emperor Lee stood on his balcony and looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were living their lives without fear because they knew humans were watching. Children were growing up safe because everyone remembered what happened to the species that hurt human children. It was not the galaxy he had dreamed of when he was young, but it was better than the galaxy where children died while everyone watched. Ambassador Park joined him on the balcony. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked. "I think we did the only thing we could do," Emperor Lee replied, "and I hope we never have to do it again." "What if we do?" Emperor Lee was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that made Ambassador Park shiver. "Then the galaxy will learn that the Vorthaks got off easy. In the deepest vaults of human space, the weapons that could unmake reality itself sat quietly in the dark. Dr. Kang and her team made sure they were ready, just in case. Because now the galaxy knew the truth about humans. They were not peaceful because they were weak. They were peaceful because they were strong enough to choose peace. But if you force them to choose war, well, just ask the Vorthaks about that." "Oh wait, you can't. They don't exist anymore." And the galaxy remembered why that was a good thing.